Today we're viewing Stranded Part 1, but the second half of Stranded, which includes Must-See TV and Divine Intervention.
Who? What? Huh? What?
Lovely.
Hi, everyone.
Lovely.
We're doing this again. It's the second portion of our Stranded 1. Now, remember, Stranded, the box set is it's going to be a series of 4 Stranded. So, the Stranded 1, Stranded 2, 3, 4. 3 and 4, I believe, are not even out yet. I know 4 definitely isn't. But because there are 4 episodes or dramas within this Stranded 1, we did this as a part 1, part 2, because I think the first 2, the part 1, we did the first 2 because they're like hour each. This particular one, Must-See TV, I believe was only 30 minutes, and the second one, Divine Intervention, was a full hour. However, there was an extra little bit in there in Must-See TV, which we can talk about when we start reviewing.
There you go. If you haven't listened to Stranded as of yet,
spoilers.
What?
We will be spoiling the heck out of this. We will be talking about things in there. So as we start off with our review, we're going to start off with we're going to give us our ratings, 10 TARDISes. 10 TARDISes being great, 1 TARDIS being awful, and then in between. Dave, you gave it a 6. What happened?
I did. Big caveat to this.
Okay.
I think this would have been a great episode at like episode 1 of Stranded 2. This as a standalone episode, I did not like it. It's a lot of setup. All this is setup. But a lot of it's setting up for Stranded 2 or 3. I would have liked to have seen something that ties in a little bit more to the old feeling, the feeling of the first couple. A little bit more earthbound for just a little bit longer.
Gotcha. Melanie, why did you give it 6.5?
I will say for the same reasons as Dave. I felt that the half-an-hour runtime was just, I wanted more. So therefore, I felt unfulfilled from a full story. There was a lot more of the whodunit of, where is he? What's the scorch marks on the carpet? Oh, he's got a vortex manipulator or some other type of time travel, kind of stuff. Okay, that's great. So I'm thinking we're going to get all this extra, action and all this other stuff. And by the time he's like, at the very end with the message of "I'm watching you," I was like, that's it. I wanted a little bit more. The reason I gave it 6.5, and I was in the beginning kind of maybe even giving it a 7-ish, is because in this, to make up that time, we had a music suite. It was like a half an hour worth of just beautifully composed music that, I was working on the mural, and so I was listening to it and I'm like, oh wow, this is wonderful. I could just keep working to this. And this is something that this section of music, I would love to just be able to rip that out and put it into a playlist. It was really, really lovely.
Mackenzie, you gave it a 9. Why did you give it a 9? What was so good about it? And where did it miss the marker?
I looked at it in a completely different perspective than the other 2, so that's probably why I enjoyed it more. I looked at it, instead of it being by itself, I looked at it as a big picture. So for me as a screenwriter, one thing that is necessary is the mystery. And it kept me going, wanting to know more what's going on here. It almost like if that had been in front of the previous episode, I think the box set itself might have even been done better, because that previous episode I really didn't like. And I feel that maybe the order would have been different and would have come across differently. But that's what I liked about it.
I gave it a 6 as well. A very solid 6. So
why did you rate it a 6, Christian?
I rated it a 6 because one of the funny things, as I mentioned, as Dave knows all too well, I was listening to it, and all of a sudden it was "I see you," and then the episode ended.
No, I liked what Lisa McMullin wrote. I thought it was intriguing with the characters.
Some of the lines I thought were just brilliant. I wrote them down. He hands Robin a bunch of newspapers, and Robin starts to read them and goes, no, take a look here, which I thought was kind of odd because they didn't have any power or anything. So he had to read some newspapers. He goes, here, find something that you don't like and go out and fix it. Board is just a blank page. You can write an adventure. I love that. He was just spouting out these brilliant lines.
Which I love that they brought Andy more in this one, which we see more of Andy, which we're seeing more Andy, which is neat to see a Torchwood person kind of be a companion-ish with the Doctor, definitely in the next one.
One goofy thing that I had before we go to commercial on this.
Yeah.
It was with Robin. He has this conversation on the stairs. I had a giant Muppet moment. all I had was Robin singing halfway up down the stairs in the back of my head, that entire screen.
Now we're going to do divine intervention. Dave, you gave it the lowest score, which is 7.5. Could you tell us a little bit about why you gave it that score? What did it miss? What did it hit?
I think it had a lot of positives. And maybe by the end of the show, I'll even up that. But it was a lot of little things. Tanya in Must See TV has a conversation with the doctor. It's like, who are you? I'm a friend. Just leave it at that. I'm a friend. I think you are. She clearly knows who the doctor is. She knows what's going on. She's Torchwood. She knows there's aliens. And then he ends up in her kitchen, of all places. Just he wanders in, starts making a sandwich in her kitchen. Whose kitchen am I in? Mine. Oh. But he's muttering about Daleks and Cybermen.
He got a fight with Liv or Helen.
Yeah, totally a doctor thing to have done. But he's muttering about the Daleks and the TARDIS and Cybermen, and she's like, Daleks, Cybermen, you're Torchwood. You're here dumb because you know who the doctor is. No,
she's playing dumb.
She didn't seem like she was playing dumb.
It was the same thing with Andy when the doctor hangs around with Andy and they're interacting with each other, and he goes, for somebody who, this doesn't bother you what's happening to you right now. And he goes, oh yeah, so
Star Trek.
Yeah, that was the excuse for Star Trek.
And even the doctor's kind of cottoning on with, so I'm an alien? What? You're an alien? What are you talking about?
Melanie hit it up with a 9.
The first part of it was the game show, and I'm like, wait, what the heck's going on? And he's just like, it's funny how he does a little callback to the Fifth Doctor on it. Yeah. Because one of the questions has to do with cricket, and he's like, oh, I know this, and he starts describing about fair hair and celery and what was this? I could see it. So he answers the question. Well, he answers the question well, and he ends up winning 80,000 pounds. But yeah, it's a great, lighthearted, I think, funny episode because you have those parts. But then, guess what? There's aliens. There's freaking aliens. The doctor, he even says this at one point. He knows how to deal with this. He has to save the world. He has to have a reason. If you don't give him a reason, he blows up, and he feels like he's in his element. He's happy. So there was more action. Kind of wrapping up, there was action, lots of fun things. Robin is starting to become more of a character. All of them really, it felt like a good ensemble piece.
Mackenzie, yeah, you gave it a 10. Hit us up. Why did you give it a 10?
What both Dave and Melanie loved was the humor in it, which I loved that too. Especially with the game show at the beginning, it was like kind of like a call to number 11, or excuse me, number 9, even knowing number 9 doesn't exist yet, but it's still with that game show. I love that aspect of it. A lot of the episode at the beginning had what is in screenplay terms is called Pope in the Pool, which is literally, it's an analogy to somebody is giving the Pope all instructions about what's going on in the Catholic Church, and the Pope is swimming. So it's very humorous type of thing. So I loved how it pulled everything together. The thing that really got me was by the end of it, where it was like, oh my God, I gotta just listen to the next thing. I've got to. And that's for me when it pulled me and say, oh, absolutely not. There's some big finishes that I really enjoyed, but have I picked them up the next one? No. I mean, I haven't. And it doesn't have to do with finances or interest. This one is like, oh, I must listen to the next portion of it.
I gave it a 7.5, which is consistent about across the board for the same reasons over and over again. It's a soap opera now that doesn't answer a lot of questions. It throws out a lot of things. It throws out a lot of it throws out sugar-free candy, for a better term. It just throws that out there. It tastes great, but it doesn't really fill you up on things. I'm still sitting there going like, where's the curator? I want Tom back. Why is Tom only in here for about 5 minutes at the very beginning? Why is he around? What's going on?
What did the doctor do to the Rakillians for them to go back 2,000 years and want to murder him?
Exactly. That is so attractive, Melanie.